Today, we're diving into a skill that's, well, it's under attack every single day: clear thinking. We're going to explore how to win in a world that is practically begging you to just react, not to think.
Think about it. Have you ever blurted something out in a heated argument, or maybe fired off an angry email? And then, just a few hours later, you're sitting there thinking, ugh, what was I thinking? Well, according to author Shane Parrish, the answer is pretty simple. You weren't. The truth is, you weren't thinking at all. You were just reacting. And that's a feeling we all know, right?
But here's the thing, and this is so important. This isn't about you being flawed. It's not a personal failure. It is literally your biological programming. Our brains are hardwired with these default automatic responses that, yeah, they helped our ancestors survive in the wild. But today, in our incredibly complex world, those same shortcuts often lead us right off a cliff.
All right, so let's pull back the curtain and meet the villains of our story. Parrish identifies what he calls our 4 inner enemies. These are the default modes of thinking that hijack our minds and get in the way of real clarity. And just understanding what they are, that's the first huge step to taking back control.
First up, we've got the emotion default. Oh man, this one's a biggie. This is when your feelings just grab the steering wheel and kick reason right out of the car. If you've ever seen The Godfather, think of Sonny Corleone. His dad rejects a business deal, and Sonny's hot-headed emotional outburst completely undermines his family's powerful position. He lets his enemies see a weakness, and they exploit it. He reacted, he didn't think, and it was a disaster.
Next on the list, the ego default. You know this one. It's when a tiny bit of knowledge becomes a really dangerous thing. You read a few articles online, you watch a couple of videos, and suddenly you feel like an expert filled with this unearned confidence. That arrogance can make us take absolutely massive risks without even seeing the consequences. We mistake feeling smart for being smart. And then there's the social default. As the writer Walter Lippmann once said, we're all think alike, no one thinks very much. And that really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? This default is wired into our deep need to belong. We agree with the group, we clap when everyone else claps, not because we've really thought it through, but because we're terrified of being the odd one out. It's just so much easier to follow the crowd. And last but definitely not least, we have the inertia default. This is that little voice in your head that whispers, but this is how we've always done it. It's that powerful pull to resist change and stick with what's comfortable, even when the world around us is screaming for a new approach. It just kills innovation and keeps us stuck.
So you've got these 4 powerful automatic defaults running in the background all the time. It kind of sounds like we're fighting a losing battle, right? I mean, if this stuff is hardwired into our biology, what can we possibly do to fight back and actually think for ourselves? Well, the answer, and this is the core of the whole idea, isn't about just trying harder or having more willpower. It's about building the strength to consciously choose your response. It's about creating a little bit of space, that tiny gap between a trigger and your action. So how do we build that muscle? Parrish gives us 4 key strengths we need to develop. I love how he puts it. We need to domesticate the wild horses of our nature. These strengths are self-accountability, self-knowledge, self-control, and self-confidence. Think of them as the foundation, the building blocks for clear thinking. Let's zoom in on self-accountability because this quote just nails it. A kind person will tell you that you have spinach on your teeth. A nice person won't because it's awkward and uncomfortable. See the difference? True accountability isn't about blaming yourself. It's about being brave enough to find those kind people who will give you the uncomfortable truth, not just the nice stuff that makes you feel good. And I've got to say it again, this isn't about willpower. You can't just will yourself to think better day after day. It's about building systems, practical tools and mental models that make good decisions the easy decisions. It's about designing your life to work for you, not against your own nature. So let's talk about one of the most powerful tools in the entire toolbox for building a better system. It's an idea called a margin of safety. So, what is a margin of safety? At its heart, it's a buffer. It's a cushion. It's the extra room you build between what you think is going to happen and what could happen in our messy, unpredictable world. It's basically your insurance policy for when surprises are expensive. And trust me, they often are. The best way to get this is to think about how engineers build a bridge. They figure out the expected load, say 5,000 tons. But do they build a bridge that can hold exactly 5,000 tons? No way. They built it to handle maybe 20,000 tons just in case of the unexpected. We can use that exact same thinking in our lives. If you think it might take you 3 months to find a new job, having 6 months of savings in the bank, that is a powerful margin of safety.
So when do you really need to crank that buffer up? Well, you want a huge margin of safety when the cost of being wrong is catastrophic, or when a decision is permanent, no do-overs. If you're in a crazy, volatile situation or you're operating with very little real knowledge, that buffer is going to be your absolute best friend.
Okay, so let's tie all of this together. The big goal here, the whole point, is to shift from a life of knee-jerk reactions driven by those defaults to a life of thoughtful, deliberate responses.
And this might just be the most important idea of all. Clear thinking isn't just for the big, dramatic life or death decisions. It's built in the small, ordinary moments of every single day. Each small, clear thought improves your position. And having a good position, that is what gives you better options when it really, truly matters.
So I'll leave you with this to chew on. What's one decision you're facing right now, whether it's in your career, your finances, a project, anything, where adding a little extra cushion, a little margin of safety could completely change the game for you? Think about it. Thanks for joining us.